for this week, my thing to chomp on is this shirt here, which Mike Tomlin wore last night on the sideline, is getting a whole bunch of attention because of the message it's portraying. And I guess some people didn't like that because we heard the dreaded term, the shirt being woke. Which, once again, this kind of stretches beyond the sports world. Because woke is a term that's been, I don't know, it's been used probably more times than you really want to hear. What the actual definition of it, I don't know. It's used for every kind of instance under the sun where something is, put in front of you that goes against kind of what you believe, whether you're on one side of political or society spectrum, from the other side that you don't like, you call it woke. It's like an umbrella term for basically something you don't agree with, I guess. I don't know. But so let's get into the shirt here. The shirt says justice, opportunity, freedom, equity, NFL. I guess the timing of the shirt plays into the story as well, because all of a sudden, Steeler fans once again want to call for Mike Tomlin's job. This is a bit of a annual tradition now for the past couple of seasons, because yes, it looks like maybe the Steelers keep the over 500 streak going, but they're probably not going to be a playoff team. And if they are a playoff team, it's going to be a very short stay in the playoffs, and Steeler fans are mad about that. Sure, as a fan, you're allowed to feel that way. I get it. I mean, we just talked about New England. I'm right there with you. But looking at the issues that are in Pittsburgh, the fact that you want to fire Mike Tomlin now for what? Because he has a quarterback in Kenny Pickett who's, I guess, hurt now, but has been inconsistent all year. You have a backup in Mitch Trubisky, not that good. Matt Canada, who's just fired, was leading an offense that was not that good. Mike Tomlin, defensive-minded coach. The Steelers' defense, not bad. But now Mike Tomlin's got to go. So Steelers fans, if you watch this, let me know if you fire Mike Tomlin, who do you want instead? I guess if you have a good answer to that, sure, maybe I'll entertain Mike Tomlin needing to go. Because yes, Mike Tomlin's been there forever. I get it. But it seems like he's still a pretty good coach. So why necessarily do you want him gone? I don't know. But that's for you to kind of let me know. But yes, the shirt. And also, if Mike Tomlin got fired tomorrow, by the end of the week, he'd have a job ready to go. Like, let's be real about it. Now, the shirt, once again, I feel like it's speaking to the fact that Tomlin's talking about, the fans, some fans wanting him to get fired. The landscape of the NFL where minority hiring is still an issue. I think that is the motivation behind the shirt. I guess you could look at it and say, is Mike Tomlin the right person to be wearing the shirt because he's had the same job within the same organization for a lot longer than a lot of guys who should be a head coach? Like if Brian Flores wore this shirt on the Vikings sideline, would it be an issue? I mean, yes, because the same ones who called it woke on Mike Tomlin would say it's woke on Brian Flores. But Brian Flores is a guy who I think embodies the message of the shirt. Because Brian Flores came up through the Patriots system, was seen as a it guy, as one of the next guys to be a really good head coach, got his opportunity in Miami, had success in Miami. I think he had like one down year. But the year that ultimately became his final year in Miami, the team did well. And it's supposedly because of some bumping of heads between he and an owner, and Stephen Ross, who was not even that good of an owner. Flores was cast out. You had the lawsuit or whatever with the league. That seemed to backfire on Flores more than Stephen Ross and the Dolphins. And he's been trying to get back to the head coaching ranks ever since. Now, this past offseason, he could have gotten the Cardinals job, but he turned it down because, well, it's the Cardinals job where Kyler Murray was going into the season hurt. It was kind of a doomed situation. The Bidwells who own the Cardinals aren't seen as great owners anyway. So why was that the job that Brian Flores had to take? He didn't take it. He took the Vikings defensive coordinator job, I guess to up his value, which you can obviously say he has because the Vikings defense has been really good, whereas last year without him, it was pretty bad. So that should be a reason that Flores gets interviews this offseason and should get offered a job. That's one. Two, Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy's been a guy who, with the Chiefs, was seen as an it guy, the next guy to be a superstar head coach. Then he finally gets opportunities in interviews, but never gets a job. Later we find out it's because, oh, he has baggage. Oh, he's a terrible interviewer. You can't tell me that every coach who's been hired may not have some baggage or was a great interview. Because I saw the Adam Gase thing when he went to the Jets and that look on his face during the press conference. They hired that guy, and he was awful at it. I mean, Adam Gase is now, I don't even know where he is now, but that's neither here nor there. But Bieniemy, it was like, well, how good was he? You know, he had Andy Reid there. He wasn't calling plays. He wasn't that good. So Eric Bieniemy had to leave Kansas City, which is probably a job he actually liked, but he had to leave there because the perception was as long as he stayed in Kansas City, he was never going to be seen as the guy actually running this offense. So Bieniemy leaves. The Chiefs' offense this season took a step back. Sometimes 1 + 1 = 2. So it seems like the loss of Bieniemy impacted the Chiefs' offense. He goes to Washington. The Commanders' offense wasn't that great going into it. Now all of a sudden, people think Sam Howell might be a friend or might be a starting quarterback, maybe even a franchise quarterback in this league. What did Washington do? They just brought in Bieniemy, and now all of a sudden, Howell seems like the answer at quarterback. So once again, Bieniemy should get interviews, probably should get an offer. We will see. But there's others out there as well, but I don't want to sit here and continue on. So back to Mike Tomlin. Another part of this story that kind of got on my nerves, Ben Roethlisberger talking about maybe the tradition of the Pittsburgh Steelers is done. Maybe it needs to be formed a new kind of way. I don't know. As a little cutout here says, that was seen as a shot at Mike Tomlin. Look, Big Ben, you were there in Pittsburgh longer than you needed to be. Your last 3-4 years, you could barely move. You could at a certain point, you could barely throw, and the Steelers weren't really winning much with you. You were the quarterback that had that team as 11-0, and then lost every game after that, one and done in the playoffs. So I guess that was Mike Tomlin's fault and the Steeler tradition, right? Give me a break. I cannot stand these ex-players and stuff who maybe he and Tomlin didn't see eye to eye at the end. Maybe Tomlin wanted him gone a little earlier, and Big Ben knew that and got butthurt by it. Not my problem. Because like I said, from the outside looking in, Big Ben overstayed his welcome in Pittsburgh. He was no longer a starting quarterback at the end. I'm not going to put that on Mike Tomlin. That's more on Big Ben. Oh, and also Big Ben, the Steelers tradition, was your little incident in Georgia part of that Steelers tradition? Should we talk about that? I guess that's untouchable. But I can't stand it. And then all the fans who would jump on Big Ben's side because Big Ben is Steelers great. I say he was overrated, but that's neither here nor there. Big Ben is just, I guess, speaking for those who may not like Mike Tomlin for some reasons. I'll let you fill in that blank. But yeah, I don't get it. If the Steelers make that decision, which I don't even know if they would, because it seems like Rooney, I mean, they made the Rooney rule for him. He's not a guy who necessarily likes firing coaches. He's only had 3 in his time in Pittsburgh. And that's when Cowher wasn't winning every year. Cowher had some down years, kept him for as long as Cowher wanted to be there. So with Mike Tomlin, I don't think he ends up getting fired, but if he does, dumb move, if you ask me. But yeah. I mean, let me know what you think about this. Like, do you think Tomlin's job should be in jeopardy? And do you have a problem with this? I guess I have to point that way. With this shirt, I don't. If the message is too much for you, you might have to look at yourself in the mirror and wonder why it bothers you. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, so I just don't get it.